Beth Rigby is here with me now. So, Beth, how this all pans out all depends on what is going on behind us right here, right now.
There are a number of cabinet ministers in there right now. The Chief Whip, Chris Heaton-Harris, is in there. We also know that Sir Graham Brady, who is the chair of the 1922 backbench committee, he basically is the envoy of all the backbenchers, has also gone in via the Cabinet Office, so he didn't walk up the street. And we know that there are at least half a dozen cabinet ministers who are in there as a delegation to tell Boris Johnson that they think now is the time for him to resign, and if he doesn't, then they will leave his government, that he has lost their confidence. But there's also other cabinet ministers in there, Nadine Dorries for sure, who is in there to back Boris Johnson up. So there's cabinet ministers in there and some division. And Dermot, I honestly, tonight, at the moment, what will Boris Johnson do? You know, he has said repeatedly, all the time that I've interviewed him in recent weeks about his future and his fate, he's very clear, and he repeated it in the Commons today. I have been given a colossal mandate. He would say, I have been given the support of 14 million voters. In 2019, I was the most successful Prime Minister at a ballot box for the Conservatives since the days of Margaret Thatcher, and you guys are not going to force me out. My mandate is via the public, not via you. So, you know, in his heart, his instinct will be to fight to the very end. So it
but
might
you have to have, I mean, just sorry to interject there, but of course, if he fights to the very end as it stands now, what we know, you know, we're only imagining what might be taking place in there, and as you say, we can't know. But what we do know is the number of ministerial resignations that took place today. You cannot function as the Prime Minister without a government.
No, but he might, I don't know, he might say, I'm not going to resign, bring it on, force this confidence vote, you have to force me out. Now, that would go against all convention. I mean, if you end up with, you know, a sizable chunk, if not the majority of your cabinet, quietly tapping on your shoulder saying, you've lost the confidence of the cabinet, you've lost the confidence of the parliamentary party, you've lost 38 MPs from your government, you actually can't run your government, you can't run the country. At that point, most prime ministers would say, the game's up, I've got to go. But you know, I can't predict what Boris Johnson will do. All I can tell you is what I have seen in his mind, which was a fierce determination, come what may, to carry on, which is why how this plays out tonight will be so interesting in what he decides to do in the coming hours.
So if it does come down to the 1922 committee, as I described there, you know, they're changing the committee, there are elections to the committee, they could then change the rules and perhaps hold a vote sometime next week if they do change those rules. Is there another way that that could be speeded up if Graham Brady has gone in there, the chair of the committee, and said, well, look, you know, I've already got these letters coming through, Prime Minister, they're in the hundreds now or whatever, plus the number of resignations you've had from your ministerial ranks who presumably voted for you last time. The game's up.
Yeah, you're quite right, Dom. I mean, what Graham Brady can do is go in and say to the Prime Minister, look, I've got a parliamentary majority have sent me letters saying that he wants the PM to resign, that they want the Prime Minister to resign. And Graham Brady could show him the evidence and say, I can tell you, you will be forced out in a confidence vote unless you resign. So I'm a bit jumpy because I'm kind of looking around just to see what's moving around. But yes, he could, Graham Brady could just say to him, these are the facts, you cannot stay on, you will be voted out, and then the Cabinet say you have to resign. And at that point, Boris Johnson will have to take his decision. But in terms of the process of the 22, there was talk earlier today, before this sort of crescendo really built with the resignations, that they might try and force a rule change for next week, or a rule change now with a vote next week, or a vote even earlier than that. And actually tonight, the committee didn't decide to change the rules. They've just brought forward the elections of a new executive. They were going to do that right before recess, and they're going to do that next Monday. So if he doesn't go in the next few days, at that point they could trigger a vote. But I have to say, it's hard to see how it comes to that if there is a mass walkout of the cabinet and it's clear that he will lose that vote, but we'll have to see.